This is Romeo and Juliet, Act 2, Scene 4. As we begin this scene, we have Mercutio and Benvolio, Romeo's friends, who are just kind of wondering what happened to Romeo last night. So they haven't seen him since they left the party, and they're kind of just wondering what's going on. Remember, at this point, Mercutio and Benvolio don't know about Juliet. As far as they know, Romeo is still hung up on Rosaline.
Where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight?
Not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
Why, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him, so that he will sure run mad.
Tybalt, the kinsman to old Capulet, hath sent a letter to his father's house.
A challenge on my life.
Romeo will answer it.
Any man that can write may answer a letter.
Nay, he will answer the letter's master, how he dares, being dared.
So Mercutio says, well, where the heck is Romeo? Did he come home last night? And Benvolio says, no, I asked his servant. So Mercutio assumes that Romeo is still off somewhere being sad about Rosaline. So that's got to be what's bothering him. And Benvolio mentions that Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, has sent a letter to Romeo's father's house. So if you remember back in Act 1, Scene 5, the party scene, when Romeo crashed the party, Tybalt said he would get his revenge. So this is the revenge. He's challenging Romeo to a fight.
Alas, poor Romeo, he's already dead. Stabbed with the white wench's black eye. Run through the ear with a love song. The very pin of his heart. Cleft with the blind bowboy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
By what is Tybalt?
More than Prince of Cats. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing prick song, keeps time, distance, and proportion. He rests his minim rest. 1, 2, and the third in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button. A duelist, a gentleman of the very first house, of the first and second cause. Ah, the immortal passado, the punto reverso, the high. The what? Thou talks of such antic, lisping, affecting fantasticos, these new tuners of accent. By Jesu, a very good blade, a very tall man, a very good whore. Why, is not this a lamentable thing, grandsire, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these, pardon me, who stand so much on the new form that they cannot sit at ease on the old bench? Oh, their bones, their bones.
Here comes Romeo.
Without his robe.
So Mercutio says if Tybalt has challenged Romeo to a fight, Romeo's a dead man. And Benvolio asks why. Well, Tybalt is an amazing fighter. They call him the Prince of Cats. It's as if he fights by the book, okay? So he fights as if you sing a recital, as if it's rehearsed, as if it's practiced. He's this amazing swordsman, and anybody who fights him is probably going to lose. So Mercutio, in a lot of words, just basically says that Tybalt is a good fighter and Romeo is doomed. But Romeo shows up now.
Like a dried herring. Oh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed in. Laura, to his lady, was a kitchen wench. Yet Mary, she had a better love to berhyme her. Dido, a dowdy. Cleopatra, a gypsy. Helen and Hero, Hildings and harlots. Thisbe, grey eye or so, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour. That's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
So Mercutio says, oh, here he comes. He looks skinny. He looks like a dried up fish. And then there's all kinds of allusion in his little speech there. So he talks about Cleopatra, Helen, Hero, Thisbe. These are all characters from other Shakespeare plays. So Shakespeare would have assumed that we had seen those plays and we would know who he's talking about. Doesn't matter. It doesn't advance the plot at all, but it is an example of an allusion. So Mercutio says, wow, you really faked us out last night. What happened to you?
Morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much as to say, such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the ham.
Meaning to curtsy?
Now, that's most kindly, is it?
A most courteous exposition.
Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flowers.
Right.
Why, then is my pump well flowered?
Sure. Wit, follow me this jest now, till thou hast worn out thy pump, that when the single soul of it is worn, the jest may remain, after the wearing, solely singular.
Oh, single-souled jest, solely singular for the singleness.
Come between us, good Benfolio, my wits fail.
Switch and spurs, or I'll cry a match.
Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I'm sure I have in my own 5. Was I with you there for the goose?
Thou wast never with me for anything when thou was not there for the goose.
I will bite thee for the ear for that jest.
Nay, good goose, bite not.
Thy wit is very bitter sweeting. It is most sharp sauce.
And is not then well served into a sweet goose?
Oh, here's a wit of several that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad.
I stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves the far and wide abroad goose.
Why, is not this better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable. Now art thou Romeo. Now art thou what thou art by art as well as by nature. For this riveting love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down to hide his bauble in a hole.
So as Romeo and Mercutio get back together, they're joking and bantering back and forth, talking about curtsies and courtesies and goose and biting each other because they're geese, and they're just being silly and kind of weird. And Mercutio makes the point, and he says, wow, it's so nice to have you back acting like your old fun self. So you're not this, like, mopey, depressed Romeo anymore. It's good to have you back, friend.
Stop that.
Well, that desires me to stop in my tail against the hair.
Thou wouldst else make thy tail large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short. But I must come to the whole depth of my tail, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
Here's goodly gear. Oh, a sail, a sail.
Two, a shirt and a smock.
My fan, Peter.
Good Peter, to hide her face, for her fan's the fairer face.
Goddy good morrow, gentlemen.
Oh, goody. Fair gentleman.
Is it goody?
It is no less, I tell ye, for the bawdy hand of the dial is now upon the perick of New.
Oh, out upon you. What a man are you.
One gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar.
By my troth, it's well said. For himself to mar, quoth he. Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I might find young Romeo?
I can...
Okay, so as the boys are all joking back and forth, the nurse shows up. And as she walks up, Benvolio says, a sail, kind of referring to her being fat and that she is like a ship coming in and her dress is like a sail. So they're making fun of her. They're kind of being mean. And they say, good morning, what's up? What do you want? And she says, hi, do any of you know who Romeo is or where I can find Romeo?
Tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of the worse.
You say well.
Yea, is the worst well? Oh, very well, took your faith, wisely.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you.
She will indict him to some supper.
Oh, a bolt! Oh, so ho!
Found.
No hair, sir, unless a hair, sir, in a Lenten pie. There is something stale and hoar ere it be spent.
Mercutio.
And an old hair whore, and an old hair whore is a very good meat in Lent. But a hair that is hoar is too much for us poor. When it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady.
Oh!
Farewell, lady.
I pray you.
So as the nurse is looking for Romeo, he says, it's me, I'm here, I can talk to you. And she says, okay, I want to speak with you in confidence, so let's speak alone. And Mercutio makes fun of her a little bit more, and he says there's no possible way she could be a prostitute because she is too ugly. And then Romeo's like, okay, go away, because he knows she has something important to tell him. And Mercutio says, cool, I'll see you at dinner. And then he says, farewell, ancient lady. So he calls her old, and they kind of make fun of her, and then they leave. So now we're left with just the nurse and Romeo.
So what saucy merchant was this that was so full of his rope?
A gentleman nurse that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
And he speak anything against me, I'll take him down. And he were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks. And if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave. I'm none of his flirt gins. I'm none of his skein mates. And you must stand by too and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
I saw no man use you at his pleasure. If I had, my weapon would quickly been out.
Peter.
I warrant you, I dare draw as soon as another man if I see occasion in a good quarrel, and the law on my side.
Now, afore God, I'm so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave. Pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bid me inquire you out. What you bid me say, I'll keep to myself. But first, let me tell ye, if ye shall lead her in a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behaviour, as they say. For the gentlewoman is young, and therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto
Oh,
thee.
good.
Okay, so the nurse is pretty upset after Mercutio and Benvolio leave, and she says, that guy was so rude. And then she turns to her servant who's with her, and she says, you didn't even protect me. How dare you? You did nothing. You just stood there. So anyway, she says, okay, so I'm here because Juliet sent me to you. She sent me with a message. And she says, before I give you the message, though, I kind of need to, be the mother hen here and say, if you have good intentions, then fine, but if not, you need to leave her alone. So she's kind of defending Juliet. Remember, she has raised her and she loves her very much. And so she wants to make sure that Romeo has good intentions with Juliet. And he says, of course I do, I swear to you.
Good heart, and i' faith I'll tell her as much. Lord, Lord, she'll be a joyful woman.
What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me.
Now tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Bid her devise some means to come to Shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence cell be shrived and married.
Oh,
Here is for thy
oh,
pains.
no, truly, sir, not a penny.
Go to, I say you shall.
Oh. Well, this afternoon, sir. Well, she shall be there.
And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell. Be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell. Commend me to thy
Now,
mistress.
God in heaven bless thee. Oh, hark you, sir.
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man's secret? Did in area say two may keep counsel, putting one away?
I warrant thee, my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady. Lord, Lord, when 'twas a little prating thing, there's a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife aboard, but she, good soul, had as lief see a toad, a very toad to see him. I hanker her sometimes and tell her that Paris is a proper man, but I warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any cloud in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a letter?
Aye, nurse, what of that?
Both with an R.
Ah, mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for R. No. I know it begins with some other letter. And she hath the prettiest sententious of you and Rosemary that it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Oh, I 1,000 times. Peter,
Anon.
before and apace.
So the nurse says, okay, you love her, sounds great, I will let her know. And Romeo's like, wait, you need to give her a message from me. So he says, please tell her to find a way to get out of her house and come to confession at the abbey this afternoon. There Friar Lawrence will be, and he will marry us. And the nurse is really excited. Okay, great. She's so happy that Juliet's going to have a husband who loves her. Romeo gives her like a penny to, thank her, I guess, for her service. And as she's leaving, he says, wait, okay, so before you go, meet my servant around the corner and he will give you a rope ladder. And I will use that ladder to climb up the balcony so I can see Juliet at night after we are married. Because they're still young children. She's 13 years old. They have to keep this marriage a secret, at least for a while. And so in order to see her at night, he's going to need to sneak into her bedroom, essentially. So wait, and she will get this rope ladder. And she says, okay, sounds good. But then she says, oh, wait, you should probably know that there's this other guy, Paris, who is also trying to marry Juliet. So just so you know, that might throw a wrench in some stuff. But she then tells him he is like an ugly toad compared to you, so I think Juliet will stick it out with you instead. And then she goes on, and that is the end of Act 2, Scene 4.